Welcome on the Heroes podcast. I have someone very special today, and this is Stephanie O'Brien. How are you, Stephanie?
Wonderful. Thank you very much for having me here.
Well, I'm so happy. And before we go in, I really want to intro you so people can see who you are and at least they have an idea who I'm going to have a deep conversation with. Stephanie is a business coach who has created teaching programs in as little as 1 month. She's also a client of multiple coaches and the daughter of a former life coach. She uses this multifaceted perspective to show coaches how to create group coaching and training programs that help their clients get great results while empowering the coaches to create their ideal lifestyle by serving as many people as they want while working only as many hours as they want. Ooh, I love this idea. I want to hear a lot more, Stephanie, because I'm right at that point where I want to work less and I would love to have more time off with the family. So tell us, where did you start the journey? And probably you didn't came out of your mom as a business coach.
No.
Tell us, what were the challenges?
I'd say, the first big challenge I had was I had a lot of trouble connecting with other people, knowing how to talk to them, how to make them want to be around me. I was one of those kids who was always the one calling up my friends to try and get time to hang out with them and usually hearing no. I was not the kid who got called to hang out. I was the kid who was always calling me told no. So needless to say that did a lot of bad things to my self-esteem. It made it really hard for me to have confidence in my ability to connect with people, to later on in life to build a group of other business owners who needed my help or who were willing to help me. That was one of the biggest things I had to overcome in my having trouble communicating with people was a couple of the biggest challenges I had to overcome in my business journey and just my journey as a person.
So how did that affect you? Was this in school or was this in your early years? What was
this was pretty much throughout my childhood. I was homeschooled, but whether it was at summer camp or just meeting kids at the park or whatever, I did have a really hard time getting into the conversations, connecting with them. I'd see kids grouped together and I wanted to be part of that, but then I'd hear them talking about stuff that I was totally out of the loop on and I had no idea how to get into the conversation and become part of that group. So it left me feeling like nobody would really want to be around me unless they needed me, which became something of a self-reinforcing pattern over the years. Just something that I've actually worked with coaches to help dismantle in my own life.
So what were the patterns or what were the internal experience for you? I just worked with someone the other day and she said, I don't belong. Like what would, because some of the audience may have those inner voices running.
After my parents divorced when I was 15, I pretty much stopped trying to make friends, at least offline, because I figured if they don't want to travel, a few houses over to someone on the same block as me to hang out, or the same block as them to hang out, they aren't going to, travel way out into the rural area we'd moved to. But I did start speaking with people online. And at first, a lot of my growth in social skills was kind of fear-based. I was afraid that if the person I started a conversation with would stop talking to me, so I just kept on asking questions. And ironically enough, the fear-based pattern that I had with trying to keep the conversation going ended up helping me develop the question-asking skills that would later help me to socialize better and to be a better coach, because I got very good at drawing people out, learning about what they're going through, what they need, what kind of challenges they're running into. Another one, as far as the patterns going that were perpetuating this, so during my work as a coach, one of the coaches I was working with, Barry Price, actually gave me an exercise which was very eye-opening. I had expressed the feeling that people wouldn't want to be around me unless they needed me, and I had noticed in my online socializing, more vulnerable people who needed assurance were the ones who were drawn to me. So he had me do this exercise. We'd just moved into a mid-sized town, and I was trying to socialize. And he told me, write down a list of all the people you're trying to get to know, you're trying to make friends with. All right, now look at this list and figure out who on here seems to need you the most. Now, who's the one you're putting the most effort into making friends with? Oh crap! And I realized, yeah, I just been perpetuating this cycle on myself that had felt externally imposed at first, and I looked at this exercise and realized, wow, I'm actually perpetuating this. I'm doing this to myself.
So you've been trying to spend time with people who are not worthy of your time. That's
I wouldn't say it's not that they're worthy. It's just that I was spending a little more time on people who needed me as opposed to people who were just around me because they wanted to be.
wow. That's a big one. I mean, if you're listening to this, you might want to do the same exercise to have some visibility about your the people around you. What else did you do to sort your time out, or the people you've been spending time with?
I stopped treating socializing as an obligation. For a while, I'd felt like I had to go to certain places every week, even if I didn't feel like it, even if I was busy. And when another coach, actually, well, kind of a coach therapist I've been working with, she convinced me, okay, stop treating this as an obligation, stop going to places for the sake of meeting people, go to places because you want to be there. Find activities that you want to do and do it for the sake of enjoying them, and let meeting people be a happy side effect. Don't stake your happiness in this on other people's reactions that you can't control. Just focus on enjoying what you can enjoy and controlling what you can control.
Hmm. I love that one. And what was that like to be in your skin in those years of school? Was it insecure? Did you
Very
feel,
much so.
how did that affect your health? Or would would that affect your relationship with your parents as well?
When it came to my relationship with my parents, I was definitely closer to mom. Dad worked pretty much all day and then came home tired. I used to joke that the Toronto Blue Jays were terrible at what they did, but they were the only people who could beat Team Dad's kids. And I understand, as a busy business owner now, you come back from work, you're tired, sometimes you just want to veg. So I get that. I don't think he was deliberately trying to be neglectful or anything, but it was often lonely with a busy, often tired mom and a busy, tired dad, and with having so much trouble getting the other kids to hang out with me. So I often felt lonely, helpless. Like I felt like everybody else had a manual for socializing, and I didn't get a copy. And of course, I know it's not just me. I've seen other people expressing the exact same thing. But it's just it felt like everybody else had the script for how to interact with people, and I just didn't get a copy. And I went to youth groups and such, but still ended up kind of the odd one out. And at one point, one of the grown-ups saw me just kind of sitting off to the side because I'd basically given up on socializing by that point. I was there because I was obligated to be. And said, "Oh well, you're just not trying hard enough." I got pretty mad. Like I didn't openly express it, but I got mad. You have no idea how hard I tried for how many years. And instead of criticizing me for not knowing how, maybe you could try giving me some semblance of useful information on how to do it.
Wow,
Yeah.
what an experience. And you mentioned you started to work with coaches or specialists. When did you start that? How did you come to the conclusion that you need someone to help you?
Shortly after we moved to this mid-sized town we're in, I started working with coaches in capacity as a client to improve my social skills, to get over the emotional wounds and barriers that had built up over the course of a very lonely childhood and teenhood. So that was when I was introduced to how valuable coaching can be from a client's perspective. And then mom actually became a life coach, started training under Mary Morrissey, and I started going with her to conferences. I'd been a fiction writer pretty much my whole life. I've self-published 4 novels, written many more that are not good enough to be published at this point. They need a lot of help before they were published worthy. But I've been writing my whole life, so mom brought me along kind of as the writer to learn how to write her emails, write her website copy, stuff like that. So I started to hang out with coaches now more in a business sense than in a client sense. And just the more I got to know coaches, the more I was enamored of the whole the whole industry. I saw these people who were doing their best to be their best selves, to live their best life, and to help others to do the same. They were working to make the world a better place. And the more I worked with them, the more I realized there's all these important things people need to know, all these things they could be doing to make their lives so much better. But so many people don't even know that this exists, or they don't know this is available to them. In some of the cases, they might not believe they can afford it. So yeah, I wanted to help as many people as possible to get this kind of benefit that I'd had, to change their lives for the better the way I was. Because as I worked with coaches, I saw a great difference in my mindset, my ability to socialize, my ability to grow my business. So I wanted other people to have this benefit, and I wanted coaches to have the benefit of a thriving business too.
So how long would you say it has? I know it's a hard one to gauge, but how long did it take for you to overcome those limitations that kept you in the loop?
I'd say it was a gradual process, and it's hard to pinpoint a time where it's perfectly overcome. And I think there are sometimes still when negative patterns come up. I'd say I was in my mid to late 20s when it ceased to be a serious issue.
Mm.
Anything that you've been living with your whole life is, and anything you got to deprogram over time is going to be a process. So there isn't necessarily a definite end point. Various points at which it becomes less of an issue.
And through the process, you always had a specialist, a mentor, a coach around for years, right? To
Not always, but for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And of course, even after I got through their programs and was no longer actively working with them, I was still using the things they taught me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think application is much more important than knowledge itself. And you just started to teach and apply the principles with other people to help them, or how did I understand you experienced it as a client, but then it was a natural progression? What was there a turning point that led you to, oh, I should help people to do this for the rest of my life? Like, how did you come to that idea?
I went with mom on a trip where we were going to several different business conferences, and I started meeting people, and more of them expressed interest in my writing because either they weren't that good at writing themselves, or they were good at writing but just plain didn't want to spend that kind of time on it. If you're getting paid several $100s an hour and you can hire for someone for say $100 an hour, then you get several $100s worth of your time back. So the more I met coaches who needed my services, the more I realized it's time I start branching out and doing this as an actual business.
So how long you been running your business as a business coach, if you look back?
As a business coaching, it's been about 2 or 3 years now. Before I was primarily a writer for coaches, though I was also teaching them, sometimes teaching them how to write for the business, but most of them really wanted to just get it off their plate and have somebody else do it.
Mm. So tell me, what are you doing maybe different, or how are you helping? And who are your clients?
My clients at this point are primarily coaches who have a lot of wisdom that they want to share with the world. They've been working with people one-on-one, or they're just starting out, and they want to start working with more people at a time, but they just don't necessarily know how to organize all this information they have into a group curriculum that they can take people through step by step. And then, for example, they may have been relying on the back and forth and feedback from one-on-one. The client asking questions, them answering, or them asking questions, the client answering. So to have a more structured format that you can take a group through is a bit of a different skill set. So I walk them through that. I help them determine what topic they want to teach on, what information to include, the order in which to include it, how to deliver it in a way that suits their lifestyle and their audience's needs. That makes sense so far?
Yeah, so they are all coaches, and
Yeah.
they want to launch a group format from one-to-one. Did I get that right?
Yeah, they want to start serving more people at a time, but either they don't know how to do it at all, or maybe they've got some of it figured out, but some of the logistics are still kind of evading them. I've noticed a lot of coaches are big picture people. They're visionaries. They've got this huge, grand idea for how they want to change the world. But especially when it's your own business, even people who are good at figuring out the logistics of other people's businesses sometimes have a hard time doing it for their own business because you can't see the forest for the trees, when you're smack in the middle of everything.
So what do you think? I know there are different type of coaching styles and systems, but what is an ideal group size that is allowing enough engagement, or at least attention to each individuals, yet still producing, you know, results? What
I'd
would
say
you
it.
say?
I'd say it depends on how much personalized guidance each of them has. How universally applicable and self-explanatory it is. If they need a fair bit of personal attention, then I'd say maybe around 10, and then you can have weekly group coaching calls, and each of the 10 people will have several minutes on the call to ask their questions and get feedback and give updates where that you can, as the coach, give feedback on. Because sometimes people they need help, but they don't necessarily think of the question when they need to think of the question. So by getting them to give updates, that's a way to find out where you can help them fine tune it. Yeah, you got 10 or so people in there, then you should have enough time to give them each some personalized attention and get their questions answered during the group calls.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I'm talking about my own fears that, you know, I never wanted to be someone who is taking people through exercises and then finish those calls, because then there is the coaching. And I understand there is always a group dynamic. And what else do we need to know about how you helping these coaches to really get clients? Is that a problem that you see with a lot of coaches, that they maybe they want to teach something, but then they don't have the messaging, they are not able to sell that group coaching program that they would love to teach?
I know some of them, they know why their processes are important to them. Like if they talk about their processes, they're excited about it because they know why these processes are valuable. But if somebody hasn't been through the same kind of teaching as them, if they don't know what these processes accomplish, then those clients, those lay people, they aren't going to know why the processes they talk about are valuable. So if the coach in their marketing talks about the processes, the client won't see the value in that. So I help clients, try to help my coaching clients to understand better, how to describe their offer in a way that's actually interesting and exciting to the people they want to purchase from them. I help them to talk about it in terms of what the client actually wants, not the end, not the means to the end. It is not necessarily the means to the end that the client's buying. One rule of thumb I like to use is, if what you're talking about is the only thing the client would get out of your program, would they want it? If the only thing they got was exercises to become much more attractive to their ideal partner, they wouldn't want that, because what they want is to get their ideal partner. If they could get their ideal partner without doing the exercises, they'd do that. So I help them to talk in their marketing in terms of what the client actually wants, not just what the client needs to do to get what they want.
Hmm, I hear you. And what is the impact that you see yourself creating in the next 5 years? I mean, what would you celebrate if things went really good for for you in the next 5 years?
Ideally, I'd like to be helping at least 100 clients per year, at least 100 coaches per year, to create group coaching programs that they in turn could use to help at least 100 people per year. And just imagine the ripple effect that could have if all these people 100 times 100 times 100 were getting this coaching, we're changing their lives. We're then having a more positive effect on the people around them, because of course the person who's been through this coaching, who is more successful in their businesses, their relationships, their careers, or whatever, it's probably going to be better for their family, better for their coworkers, better for the people around them. And I want to have that ripple effect where I help coaches to thrive and to help more people, and I indirectly help the clients of these coaches to have better lives and to make the lives of the people around them better.
I love that, because that
Thank
ripple
you.
effect, I think that is that is the magic to doing what you do, because now you really found leverage by working with the leaders who are driving change. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And
it's also been a way kind of bringing my own journey full circle. As a kid, I had such trouble communicating with people and connecting with them, and now that I've learned how to do that, I'm helping coaches to better connect with their clients, which is actually the reason for the name of my business, Coach Client Connection.
but that's classic, isn't it?
Thank you.
To help people with what you had the biggest trouble with. That's
Yeah.
that's the classic way to, from your story, obviously you are able to help them resolve the problems that your old self had. And is there anything else that we need to know? Your website, how to get in touch with you, or is there a giveaway maybe that you could offer for people who are interested in working with you?
Oh, sure. If anyone wants to get in touch with me, my website is www.coachclientconnection.com. On the contact page, you can see several different ways of contacting me, such as email and my social media sites. So you can choose the one that you're most comfortable with using. And I've also got a giveaway. I believe I sent you the link, Andre. So I don't know if you'll have the link under the podcast once it's published. But yeah, it's basically a guidebook that teaches people how to design the lessons in their group coaching program. So in this guidebook, you're going to learn a simple exercise you can use to combat imposter syndrome, discover the true depth of your expertise, and to give more value on your chosen topic. So that way you can sell with more confidence and give more value in your coaching program. You'll learn how to outline and organize your information, both in the program as a whole and in each individual lesson, so it's really easy for your clients to implement. You'll learn the 4 elements each lesson should include to make it even easier to implement and get results. And of course, you'll learn the steps you need to take in order to complete and deliver your program after you've created this outline. So it's on coachclientconnection.com/the Heroes Podcast Free Gift. And each word, the Heroes Podcast Free Gift is separated with a dash.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, we will drop every one of these details under the video, so yeah, people can find it.
Awesome.
What would you say, looking inside you, is there anything we haven't heard about you, what to the word of coaching that really needs to be expressed here?
I'd say there's one thing I'd add, it's that we're all still on a learning journey. No matter how much, even if we've had coaching before, I've been through several programs before, and I'm still in a program right now because there's always more to learn, more improvement to make. I'm currently in a program with Natalie Hankins, and she's teaching me to get better at reaching out to people through DMs and getting managing my time better and getting more calls. Because I know I'd struggled with letting my inbox eat up the time I was supposed to spend reaching out to the people who needed me. So yeah, she's helping me get better at managing my time and reaching out to more people and getting them onto calls sooner so we can get to know each other better. So yeah, I'd say it's, even if you've been through coaching before, don't ever assume that you know everything you need to know. If you always be vigilant for areas in your business where you can improve, and be open to getting the help you need in order to improve, because there's no shame in asking for help. If anything, there's more shame in trying to reinvent the wheel, and we all should know better.
Well, I really love that.
Yes.
And
Thank you. Yeah, it's more of a shame to let the clients who need you. I shouldn't actually. I'm going to change that. I shouldn't be framing it in terms of shame, because that's not really how the approach I wanted to go for it. But it would be a pity to let the clients who need you go without your help because you didn't get the help you need. There's so much expertise out there. Why miss out on it?
yes, I mean, this is a wonderful message that
Thank
the
you.
word is missing out. Your clients, if you're listening to this and you're a coach and you're not getting results, and you're not getting results for your clients, then here is the golden egg, that you are not bringing out your potential and you're not helping as many people as you could, because you are limiting yourself by not asking for help. How does that?
Yeah.
Did I get this?
Yeah, by not asking for help and by not offering the help that your clients need. If you're holding back out of fear of seeming salesy, yes, there are ways that to sell that are salesy, and there are ways to sell that are more service based. But if you're holding yourself back from asking for help or from offering help, then chances are people are, either you or your clients or both are not getting all the help they need to live their best lives.
Wonderful. Well,
Thank you.
I really love talking with you, Stephanie. I would love to have these conversations for another hour because we would have so much nitty gritty to this. But thank you for your time.
You're
I
welcome.
loved this wonderful conversation and having your story out. Thank you very much. And I hope
You're
to see
welcome. Thank
you
you.
soon again.
I love that. Thank you very much for having me here.
No worries.
The recording stop.
This recording doesn't want to stop.
Oh dear. Oh well, at least it can be trimmed later.
1 second.